Hey guys, it's Heather from Here She Grows, and welcome back to my channel and my garden. I thought today would be a great day to give you a tour of my patio. So what's on my patio as well as the garden surrounding my patio. And my patio garden is probably the hottest part of the garden. It's a southern exposure from about 10 in the morning till sunset. It's just baking. It's a very hot site. So a lot of the things in this landscape, in these small spaces, are very drought tolerant, love sun, and you might see a few things. Well, you're going to see a few things that you might be surprised that I've included in this garden, because they're typically known to need a lot of extra water, and I don't have a drip system. I water as needed, so I get things situated. I water things in for a couple weeks after I plant them, and then they're pretty much on their own unless we have a long dry spell. Then I'll come in with my watering wand and give things a drink. But aside from that, nothing gets much supplemental watering. So there are a few things, like I said, that might be a surprise to you to see in this very hot location. But I'm going to flip this around and give you a tour of everything on the patio and everything around it. Okay, let me flip you around. All right, this is the west side of the patio, and looking onto the patio, this is one of my entrances onto it, this is an introduction. It's a Rudbeckia from Brent Horvath. That is American Gold Rush. And I keep dividing this thing and it just keeps flowering. It's a great plant. It's a tough plant. The flower is slightly smaller than a more common Rudbeckia Goldsturm. However, it doesn't get the leaf issues that Goldsturm gets. It gets that black spot all over it. It gets quite ugly. This stays very upright. It will flower until frost. It keeps going, very pollinator friendly. And then just behind it is Perfect Storm Hibiscus. It's summerific week this week, so it's perfect timing for all of my hibiscus, the perennial hibiscus, to be in flower. But check out the size of the flower. So just for scale, it's pretty big. And what's cool about this variety is it's got a very nice dark leaf on it. And there are several varieties in the summerific hibiscus collection from Proven Winners that have that dark leaf. This happens to be one of my favorites. So American Gold Rush Rudbeckia with the Perfect Storm hibiscus. And then over to this side, on the other side of the entrance to the pergola, the patio, is just a mixture of things. And check out how the light comes through this Sedum. This is lemon squeeze Sedum. And look at that, isn't that beautiful? I love the way light filters through those inflorescence, the flower. It's got a purple, kind of a purple tinge to those flowers. And then directly in front of it is some Bellum Canda, or blackberry lily. So they'll have orange flowers on it. And this variety is called Freckle Face. So when they open completely, you can see those little spots in there. And then the flowers will happen. They're very pollinator friendly. And they look like irises because they are a member of the iris family. And then once they flower, they develop these seed heads that turn black. So they get the name blackberry lily. And I've got a lot of them that have gone over. And those will stay up for winter. I don't take any of this down. And then behind it is a sedum called Back in Black. I love texture. I love foliage color in the garden. I think foliage is the name of the game. If you have cool foliage in the garden, you always have interest. So in here, I love the combination here. And then I've got some Creeping Jenny along the front that she's just so aggressive. So I would be very careful if you're going to plant Creeping Jenny in the landscape. Be mindful of the fact that she likes to spread and she can get really out of control really fast. And then right here is, you've probably seen this before in the side yard garden that I toured with you last week. This is Verbena bonariensis. This is the straight species. So it just pops up here and there, and I love it in the garden for that reason, because it's a great see-through plant. It's not obnoxious, very pollinator friendly. And it's right in the front of this bed, and I just kind of left it and thought, hey, that's kind of nice. And then I just deadheaded, this is a coneflower called Coral Craze. Just deadheaded it, and then it'll flush out some more blooms. Really pretty, bright, like a deep fuchsia color flower. And then behind it, it looks a little splayed out because we had those storms a couple weeks ago, and I did a video on that. I think it was 19 tornadoes I called it, but ultimately we had, I think the National Weather Service counted approximately, I think it was 27 tornadoes we had. Anyway, those 85 mile an hour winds really split things in half throughout my garden. A lot of plants really suffered. This was one of them, although it's still green. But this is Stand By Me clematis. This is a bush clematis. Look at that sweet little flower. Extremely pollinator friendly. And then you get these awesome seed heads. So get you a little closer. So you get those cool, sweet little flowers, and then those nice seed heads. So that's Stand By Me bush clematis, and I have it in a trellis that I've had for years, and I just keep it there throughout the winter, and it just comes through it every year. It's a great support. And then this might be one of my most favorite things I did in the garden. So this is a Mangave. I did a blog post on this years ago talking about the Mangave. This one's called Silver Fox. I've usually grown them in containers, and this year I decided to put this in the landscape, and I surrounded it with crystal white alyssum, and then directly behind it is some navy velour petunias. These are wave petunias, and in a video last week I talked about controlling budworm. So I got hit with budworm, as I do every time of year at this time of year, and I had to treat it for budworm. But you can see how deep those flowers are, and that's a new one that'll be out next year from Wave. Beautiful, beautiful color on that. It's got that nice velvety texture. But that's Silver Fox Mangave with the crystal white alyssum. Perfect plants for a very hot location. And then directly to the right there is a buddleia. And the reason why this is so notable is because I've never had luck with butterfly bush or buddleia ever. It does well that first year, but it never survives my winter. This is the very first winter, the very first buddleia that I've had come through for a second repeat, a second year. This is Pugster Blue. And look at the flowers. It's covered in flowers. Super pollinator friendly. I've always got butterflies on it. But if you really struggle with getting buddleia to return from year to year, maybe give Pugster, one of the members of the Pugster series, a try. Like I said, this is Pugster Blue, but isn't that a beautiful color? And I do love the fragrance on buddleia. It's got kind of a vanilla scent that I really like. And then directly behind that is HS Date Dahlia. Look at the flower on that. And what's really cool is it's got that dark foliage that I love too. Love the dark leaves. And then the tree that I have in this bed is one from First Editions. This is Centennial Blush Magnolia. Gets a beautiful flower on it in the spring, and then the fall color is this golden color. Really a great plant. It's a great tree for small spaces as well. It's got more of a upright shape. Doesn't spray out or spread out too much. It's not an overwhelming tree, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I've got some more of the Verbena bonariensis. And then coming around is my favorite sedum through here. This is Matrona, and I've divided this and shared it with so many people. So I don't give this sedum a Chelsea chop. It never needs it. It always stays upright, and it's got these beautiful purpley, or like almost reddish purple stems, I guess you call it. And then when the flowers open, they're a beautiful dusty pink. And this whole area, this is just going to be full of bumbles, all types of pollinators in a couple weeks when those flowers open. And then coming around this way, we've got some Bidens. This is Campfire Marshmallow. This was my favorite annual last year. This is a wonderful plant, very pollinator friendly as well. Doesn't need much water. As I've mentioned, none of this stuff needs much water to thrive. So that's Campfire Marshmallow Bidens. And then behind that is a salvia. This is an annual salvia, and I cannot remember the name of it. But look at the flowers are beautiful, and then when the flowers come off, those calyxes are gorgeous too. So it still has some great, great color. And then another favorite dahlia of mine, this is a new one, directly behind here. This is called Creme de Cognac. So the front of the flower is beautiful, and then if you look at the reverse, the color on the backs of those petals. Isn't that beautiful? It's one of the smaller, it's a shorter stature, maybe about 3 feet. Didn't stake it, and it stayed upright despite that storm. And then directly behind that is another perennial hibiscus. This is called French Vanilla, and I think this one's going to be discontinued. I don't know why, but look at the buds on that, just absolutely covered. And if you're a moon gardener, if you want to enjoy your space in the evening, look for plants that glow at night. And one of those plants would be anything with white flowers will glow as the sun is setting and give you that, really add to your moon garden. And then here is some denim and lace Perovskia or Russian sage. Smaller stature, doesn't splay out like the standard Russian sage. and more of Verbena bonariensis. See what I mean by that see-through plant? It's not obnoxious, and you've just got all these beautiful little purple flowers everywhere. And it comes back every year for me. I don't have to sow seed, it just self-seeds. And then down below here is a euphorbia. This is rainbow ascot, and it's doing really well here. And then some Angelina sedum at the base of that. Now this is, it'll come back. We'll see what happens. I've had luck with it where it's come back for a couple years and then it just dies. So we'll see. We'll see how the winter goes and how this performs next year, if it comes back at all. And then through this space is some ornamental oregano. This is Drops of Jupiter, and it's kind of past its prime. It's flopped out and opened up. But even though the flowers are pretty much done on this, look at what's left after it's done flowering. It's got that beautiful purple coloring to it, and the leaves are this chartreuse color on the leaves. It's a great plant, and I can cut this back and cut it back hard, and you can see it's got all this, when I cut it back, it's got all this really nice growth, and it forms this beautiful little pillow. I shouldn't say little, it splays out to about 3 feet in diameter. And then directly behind that is these are cannas. These are a new favorite of mine. Discovered them at Ball a couple years ago, and they introduced them at the gardens at Ball in West Chicago. And I'm sorry for the dogs. I live in a neighborhood and those dogs are out all the time and they're very yappy. But this canna back here is Canna Canova Bronze Peach. And like I said, I love plants that have very interesting leaf colors. And check out the coloring on that. That's just the leaf. And then the flower, it just keeps flowering. And I do deadhead. I mean, the seed pods that are left behind are kind of cool too. But let me take you over the back. Look at that. So that's Canna Canova Bronze Peach. And just a beautiful plant. So you could use this as your thriller piece in a container garden as well. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't water this. This is not on drip. So I think cannas, yes, they are thirsty plants, but I think they're underestimated as far as what they'll tolerate. And that's not to say that you don't have to water this. I mean, I do provide some supplemental watering when it's really, really hot, but they want to perform, they want to flower. And when I plant them, I do give them some Osmocote in the planting hole, which is a slow release fertilizer. And I put that in the hole to make sure they've got a continuous feed throughout the summer, and it works like a charm. And then in front of it, I am nuts for sunflowers. I love helianthus. And this is a Suncredible helianthus. And it's just a flowering machine. But you guys, there is a new sunflower coming out that was introduced this year, and it's a double sunflower. It's not, like the yellow on this is very, very bright. The new one coming out I'm really excited about because it's a more subdued color, more subdued yellow with a fluffy center. And it's got some brown, I would say, undertones to it, which softens it quite a bit. Still such a pollinator friendly plant. I'm really, really excited to try the new variety next year though. So that is Suncredible helianthus. And then the cannas. And then I've got more of the HS date, which is the single. It's a single dahlia, very pollinator friendly, very prolific flower. So let me show you something really quick. The secret to keeping these guys in flower, look how dark that foliage is. The secret to keeping them in bloom is to deadhead. So this is what a spent flower looks like. It has a pointed seed pod. So that is something I would cut back and take it all the way down. And that'll tell your plant to keep on flowering. So things like that, see how pointed that is? Now the ones you're not gonna cut back are the ones that are more rounded in shape. So you can kind of see the difference between the spent one, very pointed, compared to one that's about to open. So just so you know the difference between the new buds and the old buds. And then more Drops of Jupiter. I've kind of repeated, got that Angelina sedum down here as well. More Drops of Jupiter through here. Some more denim and lace Perovskia, that salvia that I cannot remember the name of, and another French vanilla hibiscus. Look at that flower, isn't that pretty? And then here I've got a lot of chartreuse. I think I overdid the chartreuse in here though. I need to mix it up a little bit. This is a great salvia. This is pineapple sage. And I do love the color of it, but I think next to the Drops of Jupiter Perovskia, there's not enough color variation in here for me. I do love this next to the Matrona Sedum though. I think that that's a great combination, the light with the dark. And then more of the campfire marshmallow bidens. And then coming around this part, the back side of my house, so this is, my family room is here. And then I did a video a couple weeks ago on cutting back my boom chocolated perennial geranium. And look at what happens. I cut it down to practically nothing. It flushes out, you get my shadow, sorry. It flushes out so beautifully. So that's just 3 plants. And then it starts putting up more flowers again. So you can check out that video if you're interested to see what it looked like before and what you'll end up with if you cut it back. You get another second flower and then it tidies up the foliage and you end up with that. And behind that is a panicle hydrangea I cannot remember the name of, but it's flowering obviously. And a different variety of canna, and I can't remember the name of that one either. Some things get away from me. And then some Angelina sedum kind of creeping in behind the French vanilla hibiscus. And then I put another centennial blush magnolia here. And this one I've had some trouble with. This one really took some storm damage, so I had to set up a guy and really support it because the wind just pummeled it. And this is the second one that I've had to put in because the first one was just attacked by the voles. And I'll post a video up at the top, a link to it, so you can check that out and see what that looked like and what the voles did to it. So this just went in last spring. So you can tell the difference between it. Let's see here, back up. So this is the new one here. And then the older one, that's probably been in here for about 5 years. This has only been in here for a year. And then coming around this way is another one of those Pugster Blue Buddleias right here. Oh, and I've got a butterfly on it right now. Yep. So if you do struggle with Buddleia, give that one a try. And then some sedum in here, just some creeping sedum, different varieties around the stones. Now this plant here is an Angelonia, and if you deal with heat and humidity and it's miserable, this is definitely a plant you want to know. Angelonia is a really good drought tolerant plant that, or annual in my area, that thrives in those types of conditions. This is one called Angel Dance Purple Bicolor, and there's a couple, I think there's purple, there's bicolor, fuchsia bicolor as well. This is the purple bicolor, and it just keeps flowering. So I just planted a grouping of it beneath this vanilla strawberry panicle hydrangea tree. And then some salvia here. This is purple rain salvia that I cut back, and it just keeps flowering as well. This is all very pollinator friendly stuff. And then recently, about a month ago, we had these windows replaced, and the installers trampled my rugosa roses. So, and they're my favorite roses. So pollinator friendly, fragrant, beautiful fragrance, gorgeous fall color on these. This is Frau Dagmar Hastrup. Let me take you and see if I can give you this is what the flowers look like back here. And the centers are always loaded with bumbles, making all kinds of racket because they're loving it so much. But you can see through here, this is some of the damage they kind of trampled in the coreopsis. This is Zagrid coreopsis. Oh, and I got a nice amount of bindweed coming in. That's another problem that I have. I deal with a lot of bindweed. So the Zagrid coreopsis, which is another pollinator-friendly plant, can take the heat. I need to fix this area up in here. And then coming along this way, you'll see another Pugster Blue. They all came back and they just all look so healthy, but I think I need to relocate this one. And then this is another variety of Rebecca called Bayette's Little Susie. And that one, I don't know why that's flopping, but it is very tough. I never see any leaf spot issues on that either. It just keeps going. Oh, just saw a butterfly come in here. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Oh, scared him away again. And then behind it is Candy Crush hibiscus. When I need to cut back, I just kind of went crazy and plunked dahlias everywhere. Not in the best spaces in some cases as well, because like back here, you can see there's one back here, and I think that might be, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of that one too. Too much shade on that, but my banana, my musabaju, look at the size of this guy. Enormous, but I love it so much. And I'm so glad that it survived the winter, although we had a very mild winter, so don't think it was a true test. And then this is my garage sale find. I picked this up at a garage sale several years ago. And beneath it is some cat's pajamas catmint that I've cut back, and it just keeps going. I may as well take you around the back here. So this is an ivory silk. I'll back up. Ivory silk tree lilac, super pollinator friendly. The red admirals love that plant, love the flowers. When that's in bloom, the fragrance is beautiful. It's not a cloying fragrance like typical lilacs would be. This is a really soft fragrance, but it's such an elegant tree, and it's a really tough tree. It's great for parkways too because it is so tough. So this is a multi-stem one. You can get it on standard as well, which means a single trunk. And then coming this way is some our beacon impatiens. So the impatient crop was just wiped out from a bacterial leaf disease years ago, and so hi neighbor. My neighbor's little girl just came out, and she calls me neighbor all the time. So she greets me in the morning, hi neighbor. But I'm filming right now, honey. I'll talk to you a little later, okay? Okay. So back here in this area here is some beacon coral impatiens. So if you deal with a good amount of shade and you want some color, consider some beacon impatiens. There's so many different colors. There's different color mixes. It's just, they're great plants, and they're pretty tough. I mean, these are ones I do have to hand water more frequently. You'll find that with annuals, you're gonna have to do that anyway. If you're planting annuals, they're gonna require more water in most cases than perennials. And then some hosta, just gonna might as well come around the back here. These are hosta, I think this one's wee, with that ruffly shape on the leaves. More beacon coral impatiens. And then from seed, I grew coral candy coleus. And I really love the leaf pattern on, or the pattern on that, the foliage color. And then this is the other side of my banana tree. That's almost like a little shop of horrors because it's massive. And I have to move this purple pillar Rosa Sharon because it's just getting too much shade in here now. I have to put that in another spot. And then an eclipse hydrangea from First Editions that went in May. Not doing anything yet, but look at the color, look at the foliage color on that. Really nice dark coloring. Now let's go over to the patio. All right, so on the patio here, I want to show you several things, especially my thunbergia tree. Let me back up and come around this way. So, my husband calls it cousinette because he says it reminds him of cousinette, but this is Rose Sensation black-eyed Susan vine. And all I did, I think I went overboard, I mean, with how I planted it, but I created a trellis, a teepee trellis, out of bamboo poles. And then around it, I wrapped some wire. So you can kind of see it in here to create the framework for this vine to grow up. And obviously you can see the vine really likes it. It's growing up the siding and growing up the wires, and it's everywhere. I did 4 plants in this, which probably was overkill. It dries out really fast because it's overplanted. 2 plants probably would have been fine, maybe even 1 because it is prolific. But I really like the effect. I love how massive it is. And then I have some black heart ipomea or sweet potato vine in here. But I just thought the colors together, that black, I love pink and black. I think that's a beautiful combination. And I really love how this turned out. And then look at it, it's just trailing into the Angelonia over here, all the way through. Prolific flower. So keep in mind, if you're gonna plant thunbergia, it does have a tendency to poop out. When it gets really, really hot, the flowering will stop. The key is to make sure you're watering, and I do feed it every 2 weeks. And it just, now that we've got some cooler nights here, it started flowering again. And I'll probably repeat this plant next year because I love it so much. And then to the other side of the patio door is my Brugmansia, which I nearly killed last year, but she has come back, as you can see. This is another type of sweet potato vine on here. Look at that, it's just got a very satiny texture to it. And then once the tops of this start to, they form a Y. So the top, the Brugmansia, if you're not familiar with how Brugmansia flowers, it'll form this Y at the top. And once that Y happens, or once that Y forms, the flower pods will start dripping down. And this is an apricot colored, a very soft apricot colored flower. It's also called trumpet flower. Yeah, it's beautiful. So maybe that'll be flowering the next couple weeks. I'll definitely share that with you. And then over to this side, I did cannas in a container with some chartreuse colored sweet potato vine. And I do love succulents in a container, and I've had this for years. Got some burro's tail, some blue senecio, some echeveria. So that's those guys. And then the wisteria growing up the patio, the pergola. I want to show you this other Mangave. So this one is Pineapple Express, and I've had it for a couple years in a container. But look at this. I've never had it flower before, and it's going to flower. It's so tall. That flower stem is probably 4 feet long. So I'm really curious to see what that looks like. And then back here, last year I grew pink flamingo celosia, and things have self-seeded again. So that's some celosia. And then also one of my favorite see-through plants that just, once you plant it, you will always have it and it'll just pop up. So I'll get jewels of opar popping up in the garden as well. And it's got these really cute little seed pods on it. You can see it kind of there. And the chartreuse leaves, and I believe it's succulent, but these are edible. You can put these in a salad. I've never eaten them, but they are edible. And let's see, through the back I've got some Captain's Use that I need to shape. And one of my favorite containers after that Funbergia is this little container right here. This is a pink batik, and it's kind of gone over. Pink batik geranium. I'm into geraniums. I think you're gonna see, next year you're probably gonna see a lot of geraniums on my patio. I love them. My mom has always grown geraniums. I just think they're beautiful. And then some ornamental oregano. This one's called Kent Beauty as my spiller. So my thriller is the pink batik geranium. And then my spiller is the Kent Beauty ornamental oregano. And then this is a kufia, purple kufia from Doom and Orange. And I love that. So pollinator friendly. In a terracotta pot, and the terracotta pot dries out really fast, but having this combination in there doesn't require, they don't need a lot of water. If you overwater geraniums, you're just going to kill it. Same for the oregano and the kufia, so they can handle that combination. So when you're thinking about combinations, keep that in mind, the type of container you're using and their water needs. You'll have more success that way. And then on this side is another Mangave. This one is, who are you? I can't remember the name of that one. But look at, I've got all these pups on it. This is such a heavy plant, a heavy pot, incredibly heavy. And I've got all these babies, and I need to take the babies off and maybe reduce it down to the mother plant, because it is very, very full. And then a dahlia from Proven Winners. This is new, they'll be out next year. Great for containers, smaller spaces. This is a red one, but not really doing it justice right now. It's kind of between flowering. And then the pink version of that dahlia, this got beaten up in that storm a couple weeks ago, really got tore up, but the flowers are gorgeous. I'll take you around the side too and show you another one in that series, another dahlia from them. And then some petunias that had a lot of budworm issues, had to spray for them. But I had never done dahlias in a container before, or hanging basket. Or I've done dahlias in containers, just never in hanging baskets. And it was a lot prettier before the storm, but it's still very full of color, and I like that. And then let's see, what else do I have to show you? Oh, here are those containers. I was a little disappointed with the flowering. I don't know what I did wrong. So I planted these up. That's the Creeping Jenny or Lysimachia, the Hollywood Hibiscus, American Beauty, and then there's some Frosted Violet Kufia, which is a new plant that you'll see next year from Proven Winners as well. But I wasn't too happy with how these guys filled in. I don't know if it was something on my end. I mean, everything else looks really happy. Look at that Lysimachia, just fills out so well. I was visualizing this being just covered in flowers. So that flower is beautiful. And I made a container for my mom as well using the same combination, and my mom's plant looks the same way. So I have some work to do with the hibiscus, the Hollywood hibiscus. I love it. I'm just not getting the size that I thought I would get out of it. So maybe my expectations were too high. I don't know, but it's still very, very much alive. Maybe it's just gonna, you know, it's taking a break and it'll come around again. But let me show you. So avert your eyes to the messy parts. I forgot to put my hose away, but I want to show you another dahlia around the corner here. And this is a garden space that I need to work on. This is my air conditioning space, and then this entire area in here needs a lot of editing. But I want to show you this dahlia. This is from the Proven Winner series too, that you'll see that will be introduced next year. This is that purple one with another akufia that I put together. Not akufia, but it's kufia. But look at the flower. And it just keeps flowering. And I do deadhead to keep them coming, but it really does do well on the ground. And it's, if you have a small space and you need to plop in a lower growing dahlia with a nice, tight, compact habit, consider some of those from that series. Really a nice series. So that's the view onto my patio, and it's wild and just the way I like it. I really like a patio that has just a lot of interesting stuff. And that's my patio garden, and I can't get enough of my Rose Sensation Thunbergia tree. I will probably be doing that again next year. It's just so perfect. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot me a comment or a question below. Happy to answer. And if I don't know the answer, I will reach out to someone who does and get back to you. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you along and share with you everything that I know and everything that I've learned and everything that I'm killing. So I will see you in the next one. And thanks for watching. Have a good day.